Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Couple things before we get into our show. First of all, if you got any questions or comments on the show, email me, john@wordballoon.com. Follow me on Twitter. That's where I do most of my talking, at John Wordballoon. You can follow me also on Facebook under my name, John Suntress, and also the Word Balloon Network. Tell a friend. I also am on Instagram under Word Balloon. If you get this show via podcasting platforms, please rate it or write a review if you don't mind. You can write me a bad review. You can give me bad stars, but like me as well as the opportunity presents itself. Also, I have a YouTube channel, Word Balloon. Please go there and subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. I have over 500 subscribers. I'm trying to get over 1,000. I'd like to add more video content, so please consider doing all that to support Word Balloon. And now, back to the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. If you didn't know, there's another great episode for you today that dropped. A great conversation of Marvel black and white magazines and Marvel in general in the Bronze Age in the 1970s, represented by Al Milgrom, Paul Gulacy, and Jim Starlin. A great conversation that I'm proud to share with you today on Word Balloon. More Marvel today. Feels like I've been neglecting Marvel lately, and I didn't mean to. I try to make up with it with this great conversation with Donny Cates. First time I met Donny face-to-face at Terrificon 2 weeks ago. It was terrific. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. Obviously just a happy, very positive guy, which is surprising because he writes some pretty dire comics when you think about it. BabyTeeth from Aftershock, God's Country, Redneck, and of course his Marvel output as well on Cosmic Ghost Rider and Venom and now Ultimate Carnage. Pretty funny stuff. He's a very interesting guy and has exploded on Marvel in such a quick period of time. Reminds me of when Jason Aaron first joined Marvel and John Hickman and Matt Fraction back in the day, Matthew Rosenberg, a contemporary of Donny's. I love the fact that, kind of what Brian Bendis said is true. He's left Marvel and some of the others, and they're in good hands. Nick Spencer, of course, old hands like Dan Slott and Mark Waid, and right alongside them, guys like Matt Rosenberg and wonderful women like Kelly Thompson and Donny Cates as well. Well represented, great Marvel writers, and I'm happy to talk to Donny on a great panel from Terrificon, me and Donny 101, on today's Word Balloon. It's brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners who support Word Balloon via Patreon, patreon.com/wordballoon. You go to wordballoon.com, on the front page, click on the Patreon ad. That will take you to my Patreon portal. I thank you for your sponsorship, League. I got to meet a lot of you at Terrificon and shake your hands. Thank you directly for your support. More letters have been coming in via email at john@wordballoon.com from the League of Word Balloon listeners as well. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the good vibes and everyone agreeing that I'm on some sort of stupid lucky streak. It's so weird the way 2019 started for me on a personal level with this very scary leg infection that is almost healed. I was able to go to Terrificon because I'm healed enough. And man, I'm telling you, it was a weird year. And in a lot of ways, maybe it motivated me to try that much harder at Word Balloon. But I've been having a great year having these first-time conversations with Jim Steranko and Al Milgrom on my companion podcast from today on the panel about Marvel's Black and White 70s period, and now this conversation with Donny Cates. So thank you greatly for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon is also brought to you by Aftershock Comics, another great sponsor of Word Balloon that I'm happy to share in there in 2019 as the year of reading dangerously. We've been doing great profiles on Aftershock and their books because they've got great creators. They've got talented people that I've had the pleasure of talking to. Adam and Aidan Glass with their great books, and other people as well like Chris Sabella, whose Trustfall is up and running. Cullen Bunn has a lot of projects at Aftershock, things like The Brothers Dracul, and also his great series Dark Arc from him and Juan Doe. Walk Through Hell from Garth Ennis. Jimmy Eats Bastards has found a new home at Aftershock as well. And Animosity from Marguerite Bennett, just to name a few. There's also books that I want to talk about, like I'm looking forward to a conversation with Joe Pruitt about his horror anthology, Shock, and also the fact that he is one of the creative editors behind Aftershock. He is one of the guys that is curating their line and going to the creators and saying, hey, have you got an idea for us? Let us hear about it. And they're putting great teams together to give us quality books. We'll be having more conversations, including today, with an Aftershock creator about their books. But you can also go to their website, even why not while listening to this conversation with BabyTeeth's own Donny Cates. You can go to their website and find out more of their Aftershock product. Check out full story descriptions, preview pages, and the diamond codes on these books to order through your local shop at AftershockComics.com. Case in point, Donny Cates. Happy to have him on Word Balloon. This was a great conversation that followed my Steranko conversation, and it's great, and I'm proud to share it with you now. Donny Cates on today's Word Balloon. Absolutely, man. All right, I'm starting this because, we're going to do this to be on the podcast.
Let's do it.
Excellent. So, and to reset and everything, John Suntress here for the Word Balloon podcast. And, man, you're going to be sick of me by the end of the afternoon because not only am I now talking with our next guest, but I'll be also talking to two more people later, Tom King and Dan Jurgens. But now, one of the stars of Marvel Comics, excellent writer, has really made his impact very quickly and has already done incredible turns on Venom and Doctor Strange, among other characters as well, and of course his own creator-owned work as well. Donny Cates, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you all for coming. So sweet. When they came and got me, they were like, man, you gotta go to your panel. And I was like, oh, who's on before me? They're like, Steranko. And I was like, I have time. It's fine. Jim will vamp until I show up.
Dude, I'm serious. I could listen to that guy talking about it. I was putting on socks the other day. Yeah. Yes, Jim, then what happened? I understand.
It's great.
It's easy. The floor show.
He's a legend. Yeah,
absolutely. And Donny, seriously, man, I'm not speaking hyperbole. Congratulations on making the impact that you have.
Oh, thank you, man.
As quickly as you have.
Thank you, buddy. I'm just trying to keep myself entertained.
Well, you're entertaining all of us in the process.
Good. So you guys all get absolute carnage? Yeah? You like it? What's up? Cool.
Yeah, tell me about working in the Spider-Verse now and everything. And it's interesting, have you done any actual Spider-Man himself? I mean, Venom and Carnage and everything, but,
Well, yeah, I wrote Spider-Man in Doctor Strange 390.
Yeah, as a guest character.
As a guest character, yeah.
Sure.
I have not written any Spider-Man. I've never written a title that had Spider-Man on the cover, and that's actually on purpose. I've actually turned down a few offers to write like Spider-Man miniseries and stuff. And the reason why is when I write Spider-Man, it'll be in a book called Amazing Spider-Man.
I'm with you.
Sure. I'm no one's backup singer.
I'm with you. Absolutely.
I'm not going to leave Marvel until I write Amazing Spider-Man. It's good. It's my dream gig, man. I love it. And any chance I get to write Peter, it's just I was talking to Ryan about it. Ryan Stegman, who I work with all the time, you guys know Ryan, has a podcast. Maybe we recorded one last night.
Did you hear? That's fantastic.
Yeah, with Frank Thierry, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we tonight we're doing one with Joe Quesada, so that'll come out soon.
Is he on the phone or is he?
He's going to Skype in. He's going to Skype in.
That's cool.
And we have Rob Liefeld coming up on the show.
Excellent.
Todd McFarlane going to be on the show soon. I shouldn't have said. Ryan's going to be so mad at me that I said that, but whatever.
That's all right.
And I was talking to him last night.
Listen, go on.
Yeah, I was talking to him about Spider-Man, and as I always do, if I talk about Spider-Man for too long, I start crying. Why? I started crying in front of Ryan Stegman and Frank Thierry. You know how miserable my life was all night?
To say Frank's
crying about your little spider friend. Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I love him so much, and I get a chance right now to write him in Absolute Carnage. He's in every issue of that, and it's just a blast,
Well, Donny, honestly, doing what you did with Venom and now Carnage and stuff. I mean, these are characters. I will confess, I wasn't a Venom fan.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he was a villain. In fact, last year you were supposed to be at Terrific Con and things came up and you had to cancel. Or Ryan.
It was Stegman. Yeah,
it was Stegman. Excuse me. And I had Dave Michelini, and I'm like, what do you think of making Venom the star of a comic book and stuff. And, you know, again, you had him still evil, but it just kind of, it seemed to me at the time when they created Venom, after his success, suddenly he was kind of anti-hero a little more. And I'm like, you know, and I asked Michelini, I'm like, isn't this a bad guy? And
you asked the guy who wrote Lethal Protector if he liked it, if he was an anti-hero or not?
Yeah.
It's a bold choice.
Well, yeah, I know. You're making fun of me.
I don't think that...
Talk to me about the character.
I don't think of him as a hero or an anti-hero. People ask me that all the time.
Yeah.
In your run, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy?
Yeah.
To me, I think that Eddie Brock is a guy who wakes up every morning asking himself that same question. And can't quite figure it out. Venom, to me, has always been such a cipher for addiction issues. And as a dude who has gone through that whole thing, the idea of desperately wanting to be a good person, but you have this thing that lives inside of you that makes you veer off of your own path. Well, that's Venom, and that's also addiction, you know?
Sure.
I think Eddie's a guy who desperately wants to be good, but it doesn't come naturally to him like it does Peter. You know, Peter wakes up every day and he knows exactly where his morals live. Peter's not a guy who is going to change or learn in the same way that we think, right? The world has to bend around Peter. Like, Peter is steadfast in his beliefs, and the world moves around him, right? Eddie's a guy who's going to constantly try and figure it out. He's going to try and he's going to fail. He's going to get back up. He's going to give it a shot. He's going to he's always working towards being a good person. I think in a lot of ways, I write him, especially like in Absolute Carnage, there's this whole diner scene. It's my favorite scene in the entire issue. And I write Peter and Eddie kind of like my brother and me. Because like my brother and I are so different. And he's like blonde-haired, blue-eyed, born literally on the 4th of July. He's an attorney. He's never like been arrested or anything like me, and like, you know, he's just like he's the perfect son, you know. And then there's me with my blonde mullet. I'm very Eddie Brock right now. And so, but the thing is like my brother and I have this bond that we can't escape. And even though, like, you know, probably if we weren't brothers, we probably wouldn't hang out, you know. But when the chips are down, that's who I'd call, and he would call me, right? And that's Eddie and Peter. It's just like there's the good son and the problem child, and they have a really complicated history, but they're bonded by this thing that they can't really explain. And when the chips are down, if Eddie asks for help, Peter will do it, but Peter will always do it with a, man, okay, god damn it. You know, like that. And Eddie will too. Like if Peter needs help, Eddie'd be like, fine, yes, you know. So yeah, I don't know that I ever really define Eddie or Venom as any kind of a hero or anti-hero. Right now, he seems to be having a real tough time with gods and dragons and shit, so sure. I don't know. But also, something that we've done in the book is that he's also a father now. Yes. To a son that he refuses to admit that is his own child, and you know, Dylan Brock thinks of Eddie as his big brother and doesn't know that he's his father, which is such an Eddie Brock thing to do. Eddie Brock's such a dirtbag. That's why I love him so much, is he has so much room to grow. Throughout my entire career, I've always been... Are there any children in the audience? No? No, we're cool. Cool. You're going to learn some words. You're going to learn some words today. You seem cool. Right? Cool, all right. I've always thought my entire career I've always been attracted to dangerous fuck-ups. From Buzzkill to Ghost Fleet, God Country, Redneck, everything I've ever done is dangerous fuck-ups. And so I don't know that there's any worse one than Venom. I suppose Thanos is pretty dangerous as far as fuck-ups go. I'm very attracted to that, which is bizarre because I want to write Peter so bad, and he's just perfect.
Was it always Marvel that you wanted to eventually get to?
Absolutely. Okay. Even though my name is DC.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have the DC bullet logo tattooed on my shoulder right here. It's the first tattoo I got when I was like 16. Or I'm sorry, when I was 18. I got it. It looks like shit now. It's all blown out. But I don't know. DC's cool. They got some cool stuff. They got that Batman.
Sure.
The three biggest publishers in comics are Marvel, DC, and Batman.
That's true,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Batman is not only that, the great solution of whenever the chips are down for DC.
Yeah.
Thank God somebody comes along and writes a good Batman story.
I was offered Batman.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I totally believe it.
When my contract was up for negotiation at Marvel, it's actually a really funny story. I was at Legendary Pictures. I was in their office signing the deal for the God Country film, right?
Excellent.
And as I signed it, and we're having a good time, and they were like, "Hey, have you been downstairs?" And I was like, "What's downstairs?" And they were like, "DC Comics is downstairs." And I was like, "What?" I had no idea that they was in the same thing. And so I texted the only editor that I know, and I was like, "Hey, can I come down to DC and see it?" And DC's comics office looked like. You remember what Bart Simpson thought Mad Magazine looked like? And they were like, "No, kid, it's just an office, right?" It looks exactly what a little kid would think DC Comics office looks like. It looks like there's parts of it that look like the Fortress of Solitude and the Batcave, and it's crazy. It's beautiful. I got down there and I had the tour and everything. And then I don't think they'll mind if I tell this story, but I don't know. I don't work for them. I got down there and they were like, "Hey, before you leave, can you step into this office?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I walked in this office, and in that office was Jim Lee, Didio, Bob Harris, and Brian Cunningham. They had assembled a little emergency war room, and I got in there and they closed the door, and I was like, "Oh, it's going down right now.
The pitch.
It's happening right now." And I was like, "Cool, man. All right, let's do it." And for whatever reason, Didio had a stack of hundreds on his desk. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not making that up. I don't know if it was subtle Minecraft. He was gonna mind fuck me into thinking that I could be rich.
It's a Don King move. Go on.
Really, it's crazy, right? There was literally a stack of a few G's on his desk,
hilarious,
just sitting there, and I was just staring at it. And it was never brought up. It was never talked about. I have a feeling it's 100 on top, and then a bunch of Monopoly tins, and then Didio just keeps it in his desk drawer, and he has a big meeting. He drops it on a thing. I don't know why it was there. It was so weird. But yeah, they offered me. What was the offer? The offer was I was going to write Constantine and Green Lantern Corps alongside Grant, and then whenever Tom's run wrapped up, I was going to do Batman. But I wasn't done at Marvel.
Okay.
And Batman's not going anywhere. And,
sure.
I do have a 5-year plan for Batman in my back pocket, right?
Fantastic.
And Didio had heard that, I guess, and he was like, "So hey, I heard that you have a 5-year plan for Batman." And I was like, "I do." And he was like, "Well, we're all here." And I was like, "Not for free, I don't, Dan. I'm not going to tell you my idea, dog." And he was like, "I like you." So yeah, there's an alternate history in which I was over there, but I love those guys. Didio, Jim, Bob, Cunningham, all those guys over at DC. Even Scott and Tom and James and Joshua, they're all just such good friends of mine, and I would have a blast over there. I'm not done.
I hear you, man. No, and honestly, I'm glad to hear that because I think a lot of readers get invested in the horse race, and the reality is
there's no horse race.
Right? These guys like each other,
I do. I'm competitive.
Sure.
Sure. I like to compare. I want to know what metal sells. But Scott does that too. Scott wants to know what Absolute Carnage sells.
Absolutely.
It's going to make him sad. Hashtag 8 million copies, bro. So we're all competitive, but we love each other. There really is no. I hate to break kayfabe. Is that how you wrestler fans say it?
Hilarious.
Is that what it is? But no, we're not rivals at all. We all get along. But yeah, I don't know. Someday, my next big Marvel thing that I'm doing will be announced next month.
Okay.
When I got to Marvel, there were 2 books that I wanted more than anything else, and that was Venom and something else that I can't tell you because I just got it.
Okay.
Been working on it for a while now, so it's like a big deal. that one. You're gonna like it.
My favorite one of yours is Doctor Strange because I love Doctor Strange. And again, there's a great flawed, fucked up.
Oh my God! Yes,
Yes.
Doctor Strange was a lot of fun and really hard. You got to understand, when I got to Marvel, my two first books were following Lemire on Thanos and following Jason Aaron on Doctor Strange.
Yep.
They threw me into the deep end.
Yeah, they did
Immediately, man. And like, dude, following Jason on anything is tough.
Sure.
Like, you just, as long as Jason Aaron is writing, we are all vying for second place. That dude is just unreal. But I had to I wrote this big thing in the back of my last issue where I said that, eventually I had to just get out of my head and be like, they don't want Jason, they want me. So like, what does my shit sound like?
Yeah.
And so that's why the first panel of my first issue has an under new management sign on the sanctum. And so I was like, sorry, Jason, it's my house now.
Damn straight.
And so it was a tough book, man. It was a really big title for, at the time, not a very big writer. And I don't pitch small. I tend to go for broke.
Sure.
So Thanos Wins was this big enormous thing, and then on Doctor Strange, I was like, I want to make Loki the Sorcerer Supreme, and also I'm going to resurrect the Sentry, and also Doctor Strange is going to offer a dead dog to a tree and get magic powers, and they're going to fight it was just crazy. It was and they were like, you want to do that in 5 issues? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, okay. I tend to think that it worked. Funny story. One time I was on a panel. At New York. It was like the big Marvel panel. So there was like 1,000 people there, right? And this little kid stood up in the audience and he asked me, why did I choose a basset hound for bats? Now, if you guys have read Doctor Strange, there's a little dog that talks. His name is Bats, and he dies. And Doctor Strange offers his body to the World Tree as an offering. He gets amped up as guardian powers. He becomes the god of magic. And then at the end of the story, Loki resurrects Bats for him as a ghost. And that dog, I'm happy to say, is still around. Mark Waid put him in his run, and he's in one of the rounds. And it's weird. But this little kid asked me, why a basset hound? And in front of thousands of people, I said, well, in issue 4, Doctor Strange, it had to be a reveal that in his bag he was carrying that Bats was in there, so I chose a basset hound because its dead body would fit into a backpack. This little kid just stared at me in horror, and CB was right next to me, and CB was like, the hell's the matter with you? I was like, what? That's the truth. And he was like, you could say you like basset hounds. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, literally, it's part of my job sometimes is I have to Google search how many dead dogs can you fit in a backpack? So that's
standard.
Yeah, so that's my Doctor Strange run. Well, and then I was supposed to be done with Doctor Strange right at the end of Damnation.
Yeah.
And then Mark Waid was going to take over it, but I guess Mark there was a scheduling issue, or the artist couldn't start. Things happen all the time, and so they gave me an extra issue, which is 390. And to this day, Doctor Strange 390 is my favorite thing I've ever done.
Outstanding
for Marvel, because they were like, you can do whatever you want, and I was like, cool, I'm going to write an issue of Spider-Man then. And so Spider-Man comes and kind of nothing happens in the issue. It's just all talking, which is my favorite stuff in the world. People seem to think of me, it's my fault, that I do these big event books and big loud stuff, but my influencers things are like Strangers in Paradise and really quiet things. If I had all of my creator-owned books are just people sitting around talking, which I love.
Tell me about that relationship, because going even back to, I think, Straczynski, when he was doing Spider-Man, and then he had Doctor Strange in the book.
Yeah.
Those are two unlikely characters, despite really being New York guys and obviously part of the Marvel universe.
Strange is
coming from very different backgrounds.
Strange is unlike anyone else in the Marvel U.
Fair.
He doesn't really fit with anybody, which is what's cool about him. And in that issue, I had Peter show up because Strange was really in a dark place. He was like depressed and going through shit, which may have been because the writer was going through that. Which, by the way, didn't help anything. At the time, I had my beard was really long and I was really skinny, and I had shaved my head. Not like shaved, I had like buzzed it, right? And then the art came in for the first Doctor Strange art, and Strange is really skinny and he has a beard and he's like had his head shaved. And I emailed Walter and I was like, hey man, am I insane or is that me? And he was like, yeah, I just thought that I would just make it you and it makes it easier. And I was like, well, that's real fucking weird for me, man. And so like if you read Strange, like, and then every artist after Walter did it too. And so like if you read like Rod Reyes did Damnation, and it's just me. It's just me as Doctor Strange the entire time, and it's so bizarre. And I get it, generic white dude with a beard. Like it's not that hard to pull off, but it was fucking bizarre. Anyway, Strange was really going through this like a really bad time, and so Peter's the guy who I always look to as he's the superhero mascot. He's everyone's living pep talk.
Sure.
You know? Because he's kind of not the most powerful guy, but he's always like fun to line. You know, he's an inspiration.
Yeah,
I mean, he is just Steve Rogers and Peter Parker are the exact same human being,
absolutely,
just separated by 70 years.
I'm with you.
And so Peter shows up and he tells him, he's like, so in my book, he had lost the Sorcerer Supreme title, and he was a veterinarian because his medical license had been revoked.
Right.
And he doesn't really know how to operate on animals. But as he says in the book, he's like, you know, the biology of an animal is really not that different from the body of a human being. There's just a language barrier. So what he does is he takes animals into the back room and does a spell on them so they can talk. And he's just like, what's wrong with you? And they're like, my fucking hip. And he's like, okay. And so he had just been a veterinarian for a while. And Peter comes to him and he says, which is what I really like about Stephen, is that he was like, you know, when you lost the ability to be a superhero, you just went back to being a regular hero. It's like Stephen Strange is unique amongst other heroes in that he was a hero before he got superpowers. Now, he had an ego and he was a dick, but he was saving lives every day before, and like everything that he didn't do to become a superhero. He did to fix his hands so he could go back to saving lives. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Like, you know, Peter wasn't doing that. You know, Iron Man wasn't doing that. I think it makes him really remarkable in that sense. You know, he's a dick, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of not a good dude. But yeah. And also, there's only one of him. Yes, there's the Avengers protect the whole world, even though they operate in a 5-block radius. And they protect the entire world, but there's 1,000 of them, and then there's Stephen who protects all of us from 1 billion crazy things. And he's just, so I write him as just being exhausting all the time. He's just sick of everybody's bullshit. And like Peter's like, I fought an octopus last week, and he's just like, I saved 1 billion people from a crazy interdimensional squid. And he's like, I fought a goblin. You know, the dude's exhausted.
Do you guys have questions? Because you know, Donny's terrific, and I'm happy to keep going with it.
You guys got to ask something. Don't make me look stupid.
But are you just enjoying the conversation? You can continue.
Somebody has something.
No, well, we'll continue. It's no problem.
You guys, I swear to God.
So you mentioned God's Country getting the film deal. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing in the world. It happened so fast. It was I was actually in a meeting talking about a potential BabyTeeth project.
I wanted to ask about BabyTeeth, but go on. We'll talk about it.
And John Silk, who's a producer at Legendary, he was like, "What's going on with God Country?" And I was like, "Nothing," you know. And he was like, "Well, would you be interested in writing up an outline for it for a film?" And I was like, "Sure, man." And then later that night, he called me and he was like, "Hey, don't worry about the outline. We want to buy this. Can you just talk it through on the phone about like the 3-act structure and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I talked about it. the day after that, they sent me the offer. Included in the offer, in the email, they were like, "Hey, we've been talking about it. Do you want to write it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure,
fantastic,
yeah, cool." I've never chased Hollywood stuff. I'm comics for life. I'm real diehard about that stuff. I don't like. Some people tend to write comics as pitches for film.
Sure.
I'm not about that shit.
What attracted you to comics?
The money, the fame, the girls.
Yeah, exactly. No, so really, what lifelong reader? And
Yeah, since I was a little kid. Yeah. My dad taught me how to read using comics.
Absolutely.
And I've never stopped.
Sure.
And I ran a comic book store for a long time.
Oh, no kidding.
A chain of comic book stores in Austin for a while.
Damn.
And then I ran them into the ground. And then I went, I wanted to be a penciler.
Oh, wow. I'm always amazed at writers who can draw, and maybe not good enough to do it, monthly, but... Like John's is a good sketch artist for being a writer.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
I just did a cover for Midtown for Absolute Carnage. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
You were going to ask me about that, but 10 minutes ago when I asked you a question.
So yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, I didn't know that. So you did a variant for Midtown.
Yeah, I mean, if you can call it that.
What was it? Which book?
Absolute Carnage,
it was
number one. And as a kid who grew up as a lifelong Venom fan and wanted to be an artist, the fact that there's I'm a Venom cover artist, and I was so cool. It's really awesome.
That's fantastic.
And my fiance Megan did all the colors on it and everything, so it's like our first work together and stuff. It's really cool.
Back to
so I wanted to be a penciler, and so I went to SCAD, Savannah College of Art Design.
Great school. There's a guy.
And so I went there to try and be a penciler, but then I was in classes with Jeff Shaw, who I did Thanos Wins with in God Country and now Guardians, and this new thing I'm doing with him soon, and Trad Moore, who I did Silver Surfer Black with.
Absolutely.
So, and those dudes were that good back then. And so I quickly abandoned my dream of wanting to be an artist because I looked at their art and I was like, well, I can work for 30 years and I won't be as good as those dudes are on the first day. So what I did instead was I used my scholarship money, a scholarship, by the way, no bullshit, that I got for submitting sculptures of Venom. Like, I got a scholarship to this art school, which led me to writing Venom based on sculptures of Venom.
That's insane.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I used that money that I got for a scholarship, and I just started paying dudes who I was in classes with to draw my comic book strips. Which I missed a step in there. When you're at SCAD, you have to take mandatory writing classes. And I had never written a word in my entire life. And this was 2010. And the professor, Mark Neese, took me aside and he was like, hey, if you work at this, you could be really good at this. Like, you have a thing. And so I worked really hard at it, and someday I'll be really good at it. I just kind of fell in love with writing. But it's weird. I've only been writing for like 10 years, and I've only been professionally doing it. I started writing in 2010, and my first published work was in 2012. So I'm still learning. Like, I just decided that I was going to fail a lot in public, and I was going to have to just be okay with that.
Did Marvel find you, or did you pitch to them? How did that happen?
You don't really pitch to Marvel. They're the NFL. You don't really go to them. They come to you. But I was an intern at Marvel.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, in 2010, I applied on a lark, and what's bizarre is that the guy who I replaced, because the secret at Marvel about internships is that editors don't pick those, the outgoing intern does, because editors are too busy to go through all those files, so you have to kind of pick your own replacement.
Crazy.
Which worked out for me, because the guy that I was replacing is a guy named John Moisen. And John is now my editor on Redneck.
Hilarious.
Because he ended up getting a job as an editor from his internship. I was the last intern that he picked. I came in, and then he became an editor of Marvel, and then left for Skybound. And then he approached me and approved my first Skybound book. It's bizarre.
That's awesome.
And you know who replaced me as an intern? A young man named Devin Lewis, who is my editor on Venom.
Hilarious.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
There's 3 in a row that were all, it's crazy, right?
Well, that's cool, though. That's excellent.
So I was an intern there for a while, but that was 2010.
Okay.
And so I didn't get hired for my first Marvel thing until 2015 for Secret Wars. I did a 10-page backup in Secret Wars, and it is so bad. It's real bad, guys. And honestly, it's how I learned how to do what I do now, because I pitched this little 10-page story, and I thought I was being really cool, because I was like, I'm going to pitch something really quiet and like get out of everyone's way. I'm going to get out of Hickman's way, and I'll just use a bunch of like C-list characters and everything, and editors will love me because I'm not a problem. And then I put it out, and it was just boring. Of course it was boring, right? And as a result, I didn't get hired back for 2 more years. And it only took God Country's success and people paying a lot of attention to that before Axel and Jordan White, they needed someone to start on Thanos, and they read God Country, and they were like, well, that's the dude.
Cool.
And so they brought me in. But that's the thing, is I learned from that 10-page story that you gotta be loud. Like, you have to make trouble. Like, you have to explode into the doors and be like, hi, I'm Donny, this is what I do, you know? And Thanos was very much that. Thanos wins was like, I'm gonna pitch the craziest shit I can possibly think of. And I was like, they're probably going to say no to half of it, but at least they'll see the kind of stuff I do. And I turned this pitch into a 14-page document outlining every single page of Thanos Wins. And Jordan White called me and he was like, it's approved, all of it.
Excellent.
And I was like, oh no. I was like, wait, I have to go do that now? Fuck. So I just did my best impersonation of Jim Starlin, and you guys liked it.
Have you told Jim that?
Yes, Jim and I are very close.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Jim's a great guy. Jim took me out to coffee in Rose City Comic Con last year, and he just asked if I wanted to have coffee, and of course the answer is yes. And I went and I sat down with Jim Starlin, and he looked at me and he was like, I've kind of been not dreading, but like thinking about this day for a very long time. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, well, when I took over on Hulk, Jack Kirby took me out to coffee, and he kind of told me how to write the Hulk and kind of pass the torch to me. And he was like, and this is me doing that with you for Thanos. And I was like, well, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life, Jim Starlin. I'm such an enormous Jim Starlin fan, and for him to kind of like give me the nod and be like, you know, approve of what I was doing, and, you know, hand it over to me, because Jim was leaving Marvel as I was coming in.
Yes. And Jim is very territorial about Thanos and others who have written Thanos.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fantastic, man.
He gave me, he kind of like laid out, you know, how he created Thanos and why he created Thanos, and gave me like the secrets of how to write Thanos and stuff, which I will not tell any of you. It was wonderful. It was great. It was great. And at one point I asked him, I was like, what do you think that people do wrong about Thanos? And he was like, I don't like that he has children. He's obsessed with death. Like, he shouldn't have kids. And I was like, yeah, I feel the same way about Batman. Like, Batman shouldn't have a Robin. And Jim was like, I agree. And I was like, oh, that's right, you killed Robin. That's right, of course you agree. And I was like, oh shit, that's right, you did that. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. That's fantastic. Jesus. So I should ask about BabyTeeth, because Aftershock actually is one of my sponsors. So I do.
Sure.
So I do want to know about BabyTeeth and its status as well, man. Because 10 issues so far of BabyTeeth.
15.
Excuse me, 15.
Yeah, issue 15 just came out last week.
Oh, okay, cool.
We had a really big break because I had to go and write God Country. It's completely my fault. We had like a year off, and it's completely my fault. But we're back on track. I have 3 issues in the can. It's coming out.
Outstanding.
It will be ending at issue 20.
Okay.
It was always supposed to be that. It's 4 volumes. Those volumes are born, raised, cradle, and grave. And so it's always been designed like that. BabyTeeth.
You guys know BabyTeeth? Give me an elevator pitch for people who...
BabyTeeth's a creator-owned book that I do at Aftershock. It's about a 16-year-old girl who gets pregnant with the Antichrist. And she gives birth to this kid, and her name is Sadie. So I know that I didn't invent the idea of a girl giving birth to Antichrist, right?
Yeah.
But things like The Omen and Rosemary's Baby and stuff like that. They always bugged me because the mother was always really afraid of the kid, and that was kind of always the dynamic. Is it was the protagonist was the mother and the antagonist was the kid, and it's a horror trope that plays on people's fears of pregnancy and things like that, right? But my mom had me when she was like 18. And this whole book is kind of dedicated to my mom. At the time, I was writing God Country, which is completely about my father, and I wanted to write something about my mom.
Yeah.
And I know that there's nothing that I could ever do that my mom wouldn't fight for me. And so I was like, I wanted to write, BabyTeeth is about that, as she gives birth to the Antichrist. But what makes our book a little bit different, I like to believe, is that it's not a horror story. It's a story about love. Sadie doesn't give a shit. She's like, that's my kid. I love my kid. And like the whole world is trying to kill it or put it on a throne, and she's just like, I don't care. Like, I don't care what you guys say about my kid. I'm going to take care of it, and I'm going to love it. And so it becomes this kind of a essay about nature versus nurture. His name is Clark. She names it after Superman. And Clark is just a sweet baby. He does drink blood, and when he cries, the earth shakes. And so, look, it's tough. All right, it's tough having a kid, but he's just a kid, and so yeah, it's just a grand story about the love that a mother can have and how that love can potentially save the whole world. So it's weirdly the nicest book that I write, and I'm pretty open about like how much I put myself into my characters and stuff. Because it's cheaper than therapy. But the character that is the most like me is Sadie in BabyTeeth, which is telling that I'm like a 16-year-old girl inside. If you were to look at my laptop, it shows, because my laptop is covered in stickers of like Brandon Lee and the Crow and like The Craft and like little. It's like all just like hot boys and cool girls doing things. My wife is just like, what's the fucking matter with you? So yeah, Sadie's she's a sweetheart. And the whole story is told when the first issue opens, Sadie is recording a video at a nebulous point in the future for Clark, and you understand that she's recording it because she's not going to be there when he grows up. And so the whole thing is told from a nebulous point in the future where we don't know why she's doing this. So yeah, if Thanos wins with me doing my best Stalin impersonation, BabyTeeth is me doing my best Brian K. Vaughan. It's just saga. So yeah, check out the BabyTeeth.
Yeah,
I'm very proud of it.
That's excellent. So, Donny, as a creator today, because I always find it interesting that back in the day, the ambition was to go to DC or Marvel, make your mark there, and really create our own. As and Jesus, man, I mean, I'm 54, so I mean, I remember all the booms and busts of the black and white era and various things through the decades. But now it really does seem like a creator can, have one foot at DC or Marvel and obviously do their creator stuff. And like you said, you're a guy of comics and everything. So, how do you see? Because there's just tons of rumblings right now with DC ditching Vertigo, DC ditching Mad. Or I should say AT&T ditching these imprints. At least that's my observation. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of like where comics are going and where they are right now? The big essay question.
Yeah, please let me address this.
Please. I was hoping.
So many people online. We are the only industry that is obsessed with our own doom. You don't see this anywhere else. A network cancels a TV show, and people don't go, I guess TV's dying. Shit happens all the time. It's like a Starbucks closes on
Coffee's dead.
blog. It's like, well, I guess people don't drink coffee anymore. It's like, no, shit happens. It's fine. Like comic stores close all the time, and they open all the time. That's just capitalism. It's fine.
Sure.
And like an imprint shutting down, well, DC also launched like 3 new ones last year. It's fine. Comics are fine. Everyone just calm down. Jesus. People have been talking about the doom of this industry. You know what the big scare was back in the day? They went from a nickel to a quarter, and everyone was like, the end, bro. Yeah. The end. A quarter? You know? And people are like, well, you know, Marvel and DC don't sell as much as they did in the 90s. Well, they cost 75 cents in the 90s. They cost $4 now. It's fine. Like, 250,000 copies sold as something that cost $4 versus something that sold 1 million copies at $1. Guys, do the math. It's fine. We're all fine. And also, people are like, well, Marvel's comic book sales they're going to shut down. Do an exercise for me, okay? Not at a Comic-Con, but anywhere, just literally anywhere you are. I want you to wake up in the morning and time it on your phone how long it takes you to interact with a Marvel product. It will be less than 2 minutes. You will walk outside, there will be a sticker or a keychain or a billboard or a stuffed animal or a dude in a shirt or a Slurpee machine or whatever. It's everywhere. Where do you think that money goes? They're giving out shit for free? Like, dude, you know how much money Marvel has? It's unbelievable. They're owned by Disney. It's fine. Disney owns all of you. We're doing fine. It's bananas to me that people are like, well, they don't make any money. I was like, I mean, I make a lot of money, and I don't know where that came from. You know, like, everyone's fine. I don't make a lot of money. Comics are doing just fine. And it's bizarre how many people are just like doomsday prophets online who just want to argue. People argue with me and tell me that Marvel sales aren't great. And I was like, well, one of us works at Marvel. So we can debate all day if you want, but seems stupid, you know?
Well, maybe I framed it wrong because I agree with everything you're saying, but also I'm more interested in the fact that, like Skybound and Image and everything that's going on, and Aftershock and these other publishers, that no matter what, because the fear is not that comics are going away, but you understand that obviously the movies and the television shows make a shit ton more than what the comics do. That what would keep a Marvel or a DC going, you know something, we're going to do movies and TV, let's license the IP to IDW or Boom. They'll make, God, they're doing it with Star Wars kids comics, and even Marvel's kids comics are published by IDW. So there's that, but also, and again, as someone who's doing so much creator-owned stuff, luckily now there seems to be that audience in a bigger way than there was before for creator-owned books. And that there is good math that, you guys can make a decent buck off of those.
Totally. Well, doing Image and, Aftershock and Dark Horse and all these companies, doing creator-owned books, that's the retirement plan. We can make money off of that for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
And I'm a big boy. I know the contracts that I signed at Marvel. I created a character called the Cosmic Ghost Rider at Marvel.
Yep.
If he shows up in Guardians, I'm not going to make any money off that. I don't own that character. Marvel does. Which is fine. But I'm not. And people, I remember when I first got to Marvel, I signed this and drew a Venom on it. If anybody wants that,
there you go.
Not bad, right? Yeah, you can have money. I remember when I got to Marvel and I signed my contract, so many Marvel expat writers told me to not invent new characters when I got there, to save that stuff for your creator-owned stuff. And I was like, I'm not going to write with one hand tied behind my back. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. To quote the poet T.I., who's the king of the South, everything I do heavily. You can blame it on my what is it? You can blame it on Uncle Phil and Beverly. I think that's the rhyme. It's in Paper Trail. It's a fucking dope album. I'm just gonna start spitting T.I. lyrics up here. No, it's just if you're gonna do something, you should do it with everything you have in you, right? And so I create new characters in everything I do. I've created Bats. I've created Null, the Grendel Dragon, Rex Strickland, Vox. I do it all the time because people like that kind of stuff. And I like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, Image is really fun. What's funny, I'm doing 2 new Image books this year. I'll be announcing them, I don't know, in a few months.
Okay.
One is drawn by my fiance Megan.
Terrific.
Megan.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Thank you. We're getting married on Halloween in Italy, which is very nice.
Yeah,
thank you.
I saw that on social media. Yeah, absolutely.
And the other one is drawn by Jeff Shaw that I did. God Country, anything else, but
cool.
But they're fun. Lately, my image books have been way more vulgar, and really fucked up because I don't get to do that at Marvel because we're owned by the mouse, and so as a result, like you can like follow a path, especially in like a book like Redneck that I do at Skybound. It's like my longest running series. It's just gotten way more fucked up as it's gone along because I'm just like excising things out of me that I can't do at Marvel. Every time I pitch something to Marvel and they like, no, you can't do that. That's too far outside of the rating. I'm like, well, I'll go and do it in Redneck. So it's fun. But yeah, I mean, I think that what's funny is that people will bring up, two things happen to me a lot. People will come up to me and be like, when are you going to do a creator-owned book, man? And I'm like, fucking 10 years ago is when I did it. Like people who have just come to me through Marvel, right?
Sure.
And the other thing is people bring me God Country and they're like, it's your first creator-owned book. And I'm like, it was my ninth. It's my ninth creator-owned book, but okay. I've been doing it forever, and like, also people are like, why did you leave the indie world? And I'm like, I put out 2 indie books a month. I've been doing that for like 5 years, but I've never left. It's just that Marvel just overshadows everything because they're so big, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, I will probably I will someday end up just doing image books.
Well, sure.
Sure. But Marvel helps. Like you get out there.
I would think so.
Yeah. Remember a creator who had done a lot of stuff at Marvel and is now very successful in the indie world told me when I first got. You can narrow that one down.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he writes this weird zombie book.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, Robert was talking to me. That didn't last long. He won't care about this.
Well, and when you said that your ambition is to do Spider-Man, I'm like, I remember Robert.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When Robert was talking to me, and he was like, I know what your plan is here with going to Marvel. He was like, your plan is you're going to go there, you're going to build your name up, and then you're going to leave, and you're going to go do all your image stuff. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess so, but there's one more piece of that you're not talking about, which is that I really want to go right for Marvel. It sounds fun, And so if I can do both, I'll do both. I'll do both for as long as they'll have me.
But that's the difference, and I do think that's interesting how that's changed in a good way.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think it gives the creator more power of, this is what I want to do. I'll have a blast while I'm at Marvel or DC doing those books.
Yeah.
By the same token, as you say, I'm going to write my own stuff until the cows come home. So that's awesome.
I love it being in Marvel. I'm having so much fun.
Good.
Like all of the stuff that people like warned me about going and working for a big corporate company and stuff. None of it has come true. I think it's all like self-fulfilling. People have had bad times over there, and Lord knows I've only been there for 2.5 years. I feel like I've been there for a million years. I put out like 6 years worth of Marvel comics in 2 years. It's bananas. I really gotta slow down, guys. I dye my hair blonde so you guys can't see how gray I am now. But yeah, I will be there for as long as Marvel will have me. My contract right now is for up until 2022, and I know what I'm doing all through that. It's very exciting. But yeah, I mean, I also really love doing image books, and Image isn't mad at me doing Marvel stuff, and Marvel's not mad at me doing image stuff, so I will continue to do those things until I am stopped. I don't know. Or until you guys stop buying it, I guess.
We're at the 5-minute mark, folks, so I'll ask one more time.
Sure.
Question.
What is your favorite kind of storyline, and what storyline would you like to see adapted on the
The answer to both of those is Absolute Carnage, on sale now, everywhere the books are sold. My favorite Venom storyline is it's actually not it's not in a Venom solo book. It's in someone will correct me on this. I think it's in Sensational Spider-Man. It's written by Paul Jenkins, and it's a storyline called The Hunger. It's when Eddie first got cancer. And it's one of the first storylines where I saw Eddie being treated as kind of a more vulnerable side to Eddie, a little bit weaker, a little bit more introspective. and it really captured my imagination. Because Venom, a lot like Ghost Rider, is a character that just looks cool. And it's just kind of like started off just kind of looking rad, but then as it went on, like both Ghost Rider and Venom are cool shit that would look awesome airbrushed on a van, right? But then it took people coming in and kind of fleshing it out and giving it more of a history and a little bit more of a character that was perfect for me, because I was captured immediately visually by those characters, and then those characters developed as I did as a reader, as right at the same pace that I started caring about wanting to get to know the characters and all that kind of stuff. They were developed, so I was there the whole time. As for the movie, no comment, because I know what's happening in that movie.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Sir,
are you still a comic collector yourself, or are you just because you're always surrounded by it?
Yeah, I've never been a collector. I don't.
Are you a reader?
I'm a reader. Yeah, I would always. I roll comics up and put them in my back pocket. I read them in the bathtub and fuck them up. I don't. No offense whatsoever. I'm going to be really clear about that to people who collect. If that's your jam, then I'm so glad that brings joy into your life. To me, comics are a tactile experience that are meant to be read and absorbed, and I think personally, it diminishes the intention of the art form when they are slabbed and treated as artifacts, or worse than that, as trading cards or fake currency. I think it diminishes the intention of the art form. That's me. But again, if you collect, and Lord knows I've made a lot of money off collectors, so please don't let me stop you from doing that. But that's just not my jam. But I own a bajillion comics because they all send them to me for free. DC sends me their comics, Marvel sends me their comics, Image sends me their comics, Boom sends me their comics, Star Wars sends me their comics. I have made them stop. I have them sent to a different location now. I go and it's in the woods. No, I don't know where it is. What's kind of a drag about making comics, and no one tells you this, is that you kind of stop reading. Because the last thing you want to do after writing a comic book all goddamn day and approving art and approving, looking at it is because like reading a comic book for me isn't unwinding anymore. Like it takes the magic away from the experience, where now, like when I was a little kid, I'd read an issue of Thor, right? And I'd be like, Thor's so fucking cool. Thor did this and Thor does that, right? But now in my head, I read Thor and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Jason Aaron is doing this and Jason's doing that, and I see what Jason's doing on this, because I know everything. I know. You're examining it as a process thing instead of a story thing. That's why I love the Marvel films so much, because I'm still surprised. Like I go into those things as cold as you guys do, so I get to be a little kid again.
That's awesome, man. Unfortunately, we got to wrap, but the great news is you got a couple announcements coming up. Yeah, about a month or so. Mm-hmm. And of course, his table at Artist Alley. So if you have more questions, go check him out. But seriously, man, congrats and continued success on this fantastic flash of a career that really started 10 years ago. But no, it's a pleasure, and I hope you'll come back to the podcast.
Absolutely, I will.
Thanks for that. Donny Cates, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome, man. Well done. Nice conversation with Donny Cates, the first of many, I hope. I hope Donny enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it on today's Word Balloon, brought to you by Aftershock Comics, the home of Donny Cates' own BabyTeeth. As Donny said, he's wrapping it up soon. Catch up, check out the volumes of BabyTeeth that have already come out, and enjoy the story. And also enjoy more from Aftershock Comics, like Animosity from Marguerite Bennett, and Dark Arc from Cullen Bunn and Juan Doe, and Cullen Bunn's new Knights Temporal, Chris Sabella's Trustfall, Matthew Klickstein's You Are Obsolete, my buddy Tim Seeley's doing Dark Red, my buddy Phil Hester's doing Stronghold, just to name a few. They cut across all genres and take us readers far beyond our comfort zones. Don't worry, in the weeks ahead, we'll be having more conversations with Aftershock creators about their books. You don't have to wait. You'll find full story descriptions, preview pages, and the diamond codes on these books to order through your local shop at aftershockcomics.com. wordballoon.com. Word Balloon brought to you as well by the League of Word Balloon listeners who support this show through their subscriptions to Word Balloon via Patreon. Patreon.com/wordballoon is the destination for my Patreon page. If you like what you hear, if you like to support the show, you swing $1 a month. You can swing at the price of a comic book a month. I try to give you a lot of entertainment each month here at Word Balloon to help you enjoy the comic reading experience. And I thank you for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Thank you again for listening today. We've got more great episodes to go in August. We're just over halfway there. Well, I guess 2/3 of the way with August. I can't believe it. September is around the corner. What the hell happened to summer? I hate preseason football. Can I tell you that? I'm even doing my radio traffic reporting during the Bears preseason games. I'm going to be on this Saturday and the following Thursday for the last 2 Bears preseason games, and you'll hear me on the post-game doing traffic. You can even tune in via radio.com and search for WBBM News Radio AM, and you'll hear the feed if you want to check it out. But I'm part of that experience, and I can't stand preseason football because it kind of pushes summer away, and it's like, no. Football's a fall sport. If I were the Lord God of sports, football preseason would start in September. We'd start playing in October, and even get through February, and then really make February a less boring month, and maybe have the Super Bowl at the end of February. How about that? Because then you're really going bing, bang, boom with all the sports and everything. And, September is the hot baseball month, and that's fine to usher in preseason football, basketball, and hockey. Then October lights up with all the 3 sports. And just as football is ending, you got baseball spring training. So you don't miss a step. I mean, right now, man, sports is rough in July and February. Let's cut one of those rough months out. And I would say, let's make February a more palatable one. July's summer. Everyone's having fun. And if they're not at the ballpark, they're doing something else outside. So let them be. And but don't give me preseason football. Far too early. It used to piss me off when I was in sports radio. Can you tell? I'm still talking about it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's episode. More great Word Balloon to come in the days ahead that we've got left in August, and certainly moving on beyond that. Rose City, just in a couple weeks, I will be there in Portland. I can't wait to see all of you and shake your hands as I did on the East Coast, and thank you for listening to Word Balloon. Now I get to do it on the West Coast. Until then, though, our next episode's coming up later this week. Word Balloon is a copyright feature of Shaky Productions, copyright 2019.